Hello everybody, Jose Rodriguez here. It is 2017, January the 6th, Friday morning. The reason I haven't been on YouTube for the last 4 or 5 days is because the year didn't start off on such a good note. My PayPal account was hacked and whoever did it had a field day purchasing computers, Blackberries, and you name it, to the tune of about 6 grand. Luckily, I caught it and I was able to get all that money reimbursed. Of course, my checking account got depleted to the point where my situation was in an overdraft condition. But that's been taken care of right now, and as of today, it will be completely solved and all of the money will be back where it belongs. I just cannot believe that people still resort to that type of thievery in today's day. But that's what the world is about. But anyway, I just wanted to bring you guys up to date. I received yesterday two of the little things that I kind of kept under the table from you guys. Single-use chips for the P800. I have yet to test them. They are described as single-use chips. In other words, you put them on the cart. When they go empty, you must replace them. They sell from China for about $29 for a set of 9 chips. We'll put that to the test. Another item that's coming is refillable carts loaded with permanent chips, as they refer to them. You have to be careful with the way the English is translated. And I don't know what that is about. They were not that expensive, so I went ahead and purchased a set. They are flying still over here to this side of the world and should be here in the next several days. And we'll test those as well. We'll load them up with ink and see if they are recognized as full. And then we will then run some prints and see if the ink levels actually drop. To me, the permanent chip name, as they are referred to, might mean that they just do not drop. Okay, so we'll see. Cross your fingers, cross your toes, cross your elbows, cross everything you have. Make sure that you hold your breath at the same time to make sure that this pans out to be something viable that we can actually use. I'm a little pessimistic about it. I don't know. But anyway, I will be testing these tonight. I'm just going to load one of the cartridges with it and put it back in and see if it reads it as full. If it doesn't, then that's it. We know that doesn't work. Okay, the computer came not today as it was planned, and not yesterday as they told me, but Wednesday. And it is a honey. And unfortunately, let me tell you a little, not funny, but sad story. When PayPal started to tag all of the unauthorized transactions, they also tagged this poor guy's sale and they blocked his money. So I had to call PayPal. I was with them for hours for the last 4 or 5 days dealing with this problem. And I was able to unblock his money for him. So now he's a happy boy. Anyway, so I won't get into the technical aspects of the computer. Again, that'll just open up a can of worms, people discussing what I should have gotten and what I should not have gotten. The fact of the matter is that the computer is amazing. Windows 10, which I was a little leery about, but you know what? I still have my Windows 7 computer that I have plugged into the same monitor, and I just turn one on, turn the other one off, and so on, so I can share. I have 2 keyboards, and so I can do all of my printing out of the Windows 7 computer, so I'm not going to worry about print drivers. That's working fine. And again, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it. Now, for editing, my video editing, let me tell you, this computer boots in 8 seconds from dead off to desktop. 8 seconds. And I have already installed all my applications that I need. So it's not like it's fresh out of the box. You know, I could understand that happening with a super fast computer like that. It's an 8-core processor. I think it's like a 5th or 6th generation i-core. And I'll leave it at that. 32 gig of RAM. And the GTX graphic board that was recommended to me. So it's a honey. Beautiful. And it's got room for expansion. It's got I can put another 5 drives in that box if I wanted to. But we'll leave it as is. It's running on an SSD right now, 500 gigabyte SSD. So that's good. Again, that's what makes it so fast. But Premiere was working beautifully. The problem that I was having prior to that was that when I'm editing and I'm actually watching what I have said myself talking, it would begin to skip frames and it could not keep up. Now I can keep up even at full resolution. I used to have to throttle it down to 1/4 resolution in order for me to be able to play my timeline smoothly, and even then it was begin to stutter. And so now I can edit to my heart's content. And rendering was important to me because it was taking me, for say a 10-minute video, it was taking me 5 times the amount of time to render it. Now it's about equal, maybe a little bit faster than real time. So that's great. So my production time is going to be cut down. I'll be able to upload things that very night instead of 2 nights later, like I've been doing in the past. All right, so that enough about that. Somebody brought, and there's no better way to start the year with a philosophical talk. Somebody brought up the fact yet again about the reason that people are into photography and what is their final goal. And a lot of people just said, produce the image. I do everything I can do at the camera. I don't do anything post-processing. I keep my image pure the way I shot it. Well, then there are others whose goal, like mine, is the finished print. And that, of course, is important to me. I don't have an example to show you right now, but I have them over there and I don't want to cross the camera lens. But anyway, the final print to me is the goal in the whole process. And so it is like composing a symphony, and then the final goal of that is to have it be heard by an audience and performed by the full-fledged orchestra. So that is the final goal. So I look at it this way. Sometimes, depending on the situation, you really cannot be so meticulous when you're shooting. You may be shooting something that has to be shot quickly. Capture, I see it, I capture it, and then I worry about the final composition later. But if I have all the time in the world, like Ansel Adams did, you are in Yosemite National Park, you have your tripod, your 8x10 camera, and you have all the time, and you're waiting for the correct lighting to show up. The clouds are moving, and you just stay there for several hours until the correct moment, and then you capture that moment. Well, often, today's world, if you're doing street photography, for instance, if you're doing anything where things are changing constantly, you just have to capture the moment as best as you can and worry about final composition and the way the image is post-treated later on. Ansel Adams did a whole lot of post-treatment in the darkroom, even when he was developing his film. We will not get into his methodology. That is all covered in his 3 books, and they are excellent. I have the books in my other room, and I often refer to that because a lot of today's digital photography basically refers to the old process very closely. All right, so how to approach today in today's day and age. In the next video I will do, I'm going to go back and revisit silver photography or silver-based, film-based photography and compare it to digital yet again, because I have some new things I need to bring out. Okay, so I go out. If I'm doing landscape photography, I have full control. I can move wherever I want. Usually I'm not going to have the camera on a tripod. I'm going to use a fast enough shutter speed so that I can negate any kind of camera shake that I might introduce. So that's not really necessary. And sometimes a tripod is just cumbersome to carry. So I will then compose as well as I can, but I always have that idea in my mind what kind of print I will make. And it's not going to be necessarily the same proportions as my sensor. And that is a subject that, it's like Democrats and Republicans. They cannot stand each other. And I am correct, you are wrong. No. I am correct and you are wrong. The people that are true believers in keeping your image at the original camera sensor are PO'd completely because the paper manufacturers do not stick to that methodology. So maybe the European or international A size papers do, but to a certain extent, but not the American so-called photo paper size. You have 4 by 5, you have 3.5 by 5, you have 5 by 7, you have 8 by 10, you have 11 by 14, you have 16 by 20. Okay, and then in the digital side, you have 8.5 by 11, you have 11 by 17, 13 by 19, 17 by 22. You see what I'm saying? So the way I worry about it is to not worry about it whatsoever. Okay, that's what I do. Regardless of what the original sensor ratio was, I shoot it as best as I can, but in the computer, which correlates to the darkroom and larger, and you have an easel with adjustable arms that you can adjust to whatever ratio you wish. If you want to cut off 1/4 of an inch off the left side of the image so that you can trim off or eliminate a little branch that was kind of sneaking in and causing an attention grabber, so you take your eyes away from the center of focus of the image, you could do that, and nobody batted an eyelash back in the days. Now, the final paper size was 16 by 20, would fit in a 16 by 20 frame, but the image was whatever ratio it had to be. It was not locked to the film ratio, 4 by 5, 6 by 9, and so on. So, or 6 by 6. And most people that shot square negative didn't necessarily print square. A lot of them did. A lot of the purists did. And it's really crazy because I look at some of those images and I go, that could have been cropped a little better. That would eliminate this little problem here in the corner. My eye migrates to that corner instead of looking at the girl's face. You see what I'm saying? So you need to concentrate on your cropping. Make that the goal. The final goal is to have your eye totally centered on the image's focus or focal point or point of interest. You don't want to have the viewer migrating, looking around the rest of the image. Sure, if the image has a gorgeous background, then you are going to look at it, but you're going to always focus on that point of interest that you intended to be. And you don't want a little bright rock over here to take your eye away from the center of interest. So you're going to crop that off. And with digital photography now, you could actually eliminate that rock. So, and who's to say? Were you there in that landscape to say that rock did not exist? Of course not. Anyway, the point is we can do pretty much anything we want as long as the final photograph is as you intended it to be and has the impact that you intended it to have, and not worry about all of these other technical aspects of photography. Now, photography is so open and it's limitless what you can do digitally. You go and you produce the best capture that you can. You go into Photoshop, Lightroom, whatever you use, and tweak that. I don't mean change it unless you're doing some kind of artistic rendition of the original image, and that's fine as well. But you go back to the computer, you load your image, and you try to improve whatever you possibly can improve. The idea of not improving it because that's not the way it was captured is ridiculous. You need to improve that image, whether it's infinitesimally small amount or a relatively amount of post-processing, in order to just make it as full of impact to the viewer as possible. So when the viewer looks at it and goes, wow, instead of, So you need to make that image stand out. And how do you do that? Sometimes by doing very, very small things. And I have some videos that take you through Lightroom and show you how to just tweak an image to the point where, now I'm looking straight at the point of interest instead of being distracted by this little tree next to in the far lower end or edge. So that's it. It's mostly philosophical. It's what you feel that the image should convey to the viewer. And I know I ramble a lot, but that is my idea. That is my philosophy with photography. I shoot something, and whether I shoot 100 or 1,000 images, maybe 3 get printed, Maybe 3 are the only ones that are worthy of actually being placed on paper. But that's the final result. Until you have an image print on your hands and you look at it and you feel it and you say, wow, this is absolutely real. This is not some virtual thing being displayed on my iPhone, my analog projector on the wall, my computer screen, my tablet, on Facebook, on any other social media. No, 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 no. I have a piece of art in my hand, and that is my final goal. Now, I don't know what other people out there believe is their final goal, but this is what I try to always think about when I'm shooting. Even if I shoot those 1,000 images, yeah, during the process of shooting those 1,000 images, I actually did have ideas of how I would have to, finish that, bring it to fruition, so to speak, and show it to someone as a print, or show it to myself for my own pleasure as a print. Gosh, I hope I did not put you to sleep, but that's really what I try to do, and I hope that those people who think that photography only goes to a certain point and then it stops, I hope that they choose to continue to bring it to the final goal, which in most cases, in the days of so-called analog photography, silver-based, yeah, the print was the final goal. There was no internet, okay? Either print or projection slides. That's all there was. So I hope this kind of opens up your mind a little bit and, makes you consider to continue on. There's a lot of photographers out there who know not a thing about printing. And that's because they came up after the darkroom era, and digital photography was so convenient that it allowed you to just shoot without having to worry about wasting film. Film was free. It's digital. You can delete on the run. You can say, this is going to be great, or you don't have to no longer say, I hope these photos come out. And you wouldn't know until the film got processed and printed for you to know whether they come out. You instantly know that they came out or did not come out. And you can just press that delete button and away they go. All right, that is it. I am so thankful that even though the year started off in a bad note, it seems to be resolved. I hope nothing else happened. I changed all of my security measures to new ones, new password, new PIN, new everything. And so hopefully that will keep the bad guys from trying to hack me and destroying basically my life in photography. That was horrible. And my personal life, because they attacked my checking account as well. All right, so that is it for today. I checked today, I am up to almost 4,800 subscribers. We're going to hit 5,000 in a few more days, folks, and I will be ecstatic, and I will be nothing but grateful to you guys for having helped this channel as much as you have. All right, so please always remember to subscribe, share, and like. And when you subscribe, click on that little bell so that you get the announcements of new uploads. Happy printing, everybody. Bye-bye.